Anyway, hold on real quick. Shalom, Ahab, wa Baraka. First and foremost, I'm going to face the east. Call Halala Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. All praise, honor, and glory to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, for those of you that don't know. I was just having a dialect over here with the Akiyam, and he was asking what I was doing. I was explaining why I got kicked out of the church. And I started explaining a few things to him. It was very understandable very quickly why they wouldn't want me there. We started with Easter. But today, I really wanted to get into this class. I was poking through the Bible this week, and I've been working extra lately, so I didn't get to put out a real class this week. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I honestly, I don't want to do a class on the 12 tribes chart. If you can't receive the chart, but you figured out that you were a Jew or a Benjamite, or you were from the tribe of Levi, or any tribe, if you figured it out from that chart and then you disregard the chart, you forbear the chart, you're a forbearer of the chart. In other words, forbear means to fall away, because first you see it and you're like, yeah, that's me. Then you start to fall away, and then a forbearer is somebody that completely rejects. So whatever the Most High did to you, you're getting rejected. You're rejecting, so you're being rejected. I don't need to do a class on that. If you can't receive it, that's on you. You've seen the chart, I've seen the chart. I received the chart, I did my studies. You gotta study to show thyself approved. But today, we're getting into Job. So, the book of Job, and yeah, we have a 12 tribes chart showing every Israelite who they are and where they come from and what tribe they're from. So here, watch this. You don't mind if I film you? So, what is your what is your father's background?
My father's background, he's a old farm, but he come from an old religious church background.
But I mean, like, your nationality, like, not a spiritual nationality.
He's African American.
So they, like, if you go back far enough, your dad came over here on a slave ship.
Right.
Okay. So, if he would go back far enough, his parents would have came over here on a slave ship. So, and we all know, so I'm going to show them right now. This is why they kicked me out of church, because I'm going to show you a few things. I told you the word Egypt is a Greek word. It's not the name of the place where it has all the pyramids. That place is called Metzarim. So other people know this. We're the ones that have been taught against the truth. So when you say Egypt, it's actually a Greek word that means slavery or bondage. So watch this. And I'll show you in the scriptures real quick. And then we'll get into this class. This is going to be a really good. I'm going to have another end time prophecy class in a second here, but I got to show him this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, KJV. You always hear him telling you to stay out of the Old Testament. There's two Bibles. There's one called parts of the Bible, which is also called the slave Bible. And then there's the Bible, which has all the doctrine in it. Now, as slaves, in slave times, it was actually, you ever heard, put something, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book?
Yeah.
Because it was punishable by death for us to read books, especially this book. This is the book that was punishable by death. Why would they try to hide this book from us? But they would give us portions of it, showing us going into slavery, but never being able to be removed from slavery. So they only gave us the portion of going in, and never the Most High coming to save us. So we think in our minds over a period of years that we've been bred to be slaves, because they took all the parts out where the Most High came in and saved us. So what we're going to do is go into the book of Deuteronomy. You can read this at home too. And the King James Version, the reason why people blaspheme it so much and say, oh, that white man had sex with his mom. Well, when I looked it up, he had an afro. He had like 15 sons. And his mom was in prison in Europe at the time of his rulership. So I was like, kind of a head scratch there for me. And so it turns out that's because he is a black man, a so-called black man. We're not actually black, we're brown. We're melanated. White people aren't actually white. They're pink, like Sweet and Love. But the thing is white people and black people can all be Israelites depending on who your forefathers. That's why I asked who your father was first. Oh yeah, we go back to the slave ship. Me, I'm a Gadite. So I go back to Native Nation. I'm Cherokee. So my grandfather or my great-grandfather, they're all Cherokees. So anyway, back to Deuteronomy. So this is what the Most High said to us that they don't want you to read because they tell you to stay out of the Old Testament. This is 28, and we're going to start at 15, and then I'm just going to jump right to the meat. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. So Yahweh is, he exists. Bahashem is in the name. Yahweh Shai is, he is deliverer. So the Father, and so in the name of the Father and the Son. So you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just want to let you know, because if I say something and it's not in a understandable tongue, we can't rejoice together. I have to translate before we can rejoice the different tongue. That's when they talk about speaking in tongues also in the Bible. It's about speaking a different language. You got to translate that so we can understand it together. So that's why I did that real quick. Okay, so we know now, before I take too long, it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, all these curses shall come upon thee. I'm like, oh no, you can't read that. Well, it turns out there's a lot of things that are happening in these curses that are still happening to us to this day. Yeah. I'm going to skip to the main curse that they try to downplay and tell you, oh no, that's not real. Watch this. Let me tell you, let me ask you, who does this remind you of? And you shall go back, and the Lord shall bring thee back into Egypt, slavery, again with ships. Right there. That's what they don't want you to read. You're going to go into slavery on ships. By the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. So the way you go into slavery, you're never going to see it like that before in history, and you ain't never going to see it like that again. Not with the Israelites, no. We'll never be on slave ships like that again. So by the way thereof, you'll never see that again. It's never going to happen like this again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondsmen and bondswomen, and no man shall buy you. Now, there's two things with the no man shall buy you. There's actually three. There's a spiritual meaning to it too. So for a man to buy you spiritually, to tell you who you are, and to literally remove the mental construct that they built. Also, we had freeman papers. Remember, a slave could actually get free with his paperwork and be a freeman, which clearly no one was doing that. Neither one of those were happening. They weren't telling us who we were, and they weren't setting us free. The third way, Levitical law said that if I was in slavery and you're my brother, and you would go to the person that I was enslaved to, and you would say, how much does he owe? And you could pay them and I'd be set free. In this slavery, you wouldn't be able to buy me out like that because you're fucking standing there next to me. We're both there. It's like, how you going to buy a favor for me if we're both trying to get a freeman paper? So it really, they've hid a lot from us. So it's really important for us as people that have got that spirit to be able to break this down correctly. And the Most High put the spirit on you to study it. I have to come out here to the highways and the hedges and preach to the wind. Doesn't it say that? So the wind, you're the wind. You're the Israelite that's been scattered to the four corners of the earth. So I'm preaching to you. So that's what this whole point is. When I come out here, even just one person listens to me, it's better than the whole earth coming together, because just like the sheep herder that lost the one lamb, the whole village rejoices when that one lamb comes back. So you just consider yourself like the lost lamb, and I help pull you out of the ditch of the mental construct is the ditch. I pull you back up onto the earth, and then you come back to the village and you see all these other Israelites that was in the same place as you, and we're all rejoicing together. Salvation is of the Jews. Why the Jews? Because they came here on slave ships. They need to be saved from their oppressor. How does their oppressor, what does he need to be saved from? His own money? I mean, they've already destroyed the earth, right?
That's great.
Now watch this. Now I'm going to get into Job. This is what I came out here for today. Is actually, I hope every time I come out here I get to meet a sincere brother, which we call Ak, or Akiyam, which means Ak means brother. Yeah, or Akiyam means brother, like powerful. Akiyam, or plural, Akiyam. So, and it's also like a powerful statement when you're saying it with your heart, like Shalom Akiyam, brethren, giving you a plural statement. Maybe you got the angels with you. But okay, so Job chapter 24, KJV. I only read the King James. Sometimes I like to jump from version to version, just to give you a better understanding. I'm going to do that right now too on these first couple verses, and you'll understand the breakdown a little better. But Matthew, no, not Matthew. Why did you give me Matthew? Job chapter 24, KJV. Starting from the top. Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know him not see his days? So you're seeing right now that the times, they're not hidden anymore. Nothing's a secret. We have what we would call knowledge has been greatly increased. So when we go out to, like I said, the highways and the hedges, what's another highway? The information superhighway, the internet.
Internet, right.
That's right. So we're going out right now, but so it's not hidden anymore. So do they know that, do they that know him see not his days? So if we know him, don't we see that these are the end times? Let's get a precept on that. Let's see what kind of end times we're actually in. This is my favorite part. So when you read the Bible, it says, I think it's in either Proverbs or Psalms. I can't remember exactly where it's at right now, but it says precept upon precept, precept upon precept. So I just brought out a precept. Now I'm going to bring out another one to confirm it. And line upon line, here a little, there a little. So I'm going to have to jump around a little bit in the Bible to give you the clear understanding of what it means that we know that this is the day of the Lord. What does it mean that this is his day? So let's find out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Matthew chapter 24, which is that whole chapter. We lived that out last year, it seemed like. I mean, woe unto them that give suck in those days. Didn't they take away the baby formula? That's in Matthew 24. So you go to start at verse 6 though. And so this is the day of the Lord. This is his day right now. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. Now these are the beginnings of sorrows. So this is what it's talking about, the day of the Lord. This is the end. We know that we're in the end times, just how the scriptures are reading and how things are going. See, that's why people can't really deny it anymore. They can't just decide this isn't really happening. You're what do they call them? A conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy factist. I bring out the facts. And this stuff's really happening. Let's get another precept though. Watch this. Isaiah 5:20, KJV. Go right to the point. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. If you're not part of the rainbow crowd, all of a sudden you should be criminalized. If you bring out the truth, you should be criminalized. If you go against whatever the government says is right, you should be criminalized. That's putting evil for good and making good evil, because we only have righteous things to say out of this book. Let me get one more and we'll go back into it. But I gotta get one more. 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at the top. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting from the top, first verse. This now also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. Sound like a cat fight. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those who are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh. Going and doing whatever you want, loving your pleasures, but not doing the works. I have faith. Faith without works is death. So, let me keep going. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. So in these end times, this is truly what's going on. This is how we're really living. And it's very clear, when you're an Israelite and the real Spirit's on you, you can see these things. There's no reason to try and justify the way the world's turning. Oh, we got to do this and that, and we got to get the V Nation because, it's for the better good. Of who? Of who? If you want to have a heart attack, if you're trying to shorten your lifespan, I guess it is better. Me, I'm trying to live as long as the Most High lets me. But let's keep going. Let's get back into it. Let's go back over to the book of Job.
That was a book of Timothy?
Yeah, that was 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through 5. See, this is why I take notes, because, man, there's going to be a lot more. This whole chapter goes in. So it's like when they talk about in the other, I forget where it's at, to be weaned from the breast and drawn from the milk. So this isn't just basics in the Bible. This is actual end time prophecy. Basics is like law, statutes, and commandments. How to keep the Sabbath, the high holy days, how long they are, what days they are, when is the real full moon, when is the real new moon. So you see what I'm saying? Like, clearly there's a full moon. We know when that is. So the new moon must be when it's dark.
2 Timothy 1 through
2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through 5.
2 Timothy chapter 3.
There's another one too. I think James chapter 1. It goes in on all of them. All of them go in. They skip over everything in the Bible. They skip over the stuff and then they take it. This is why I'm telling you, man. Church don't like me because they know I'm not going to let them take something out of context and then lie to the people and throw confusion and all their nasty ass estrogen all across the church, because it's usually a woman doing it. These days it's mainly women pastors, which is literally a woman. A woman should not speak in the congregation of men. It's an abomination. So how are they able to teach?
That's all they do. Speak.
They got a whole ass mouth on them. And a woman like that is like an old man trying to climb up a sandy hill. And that's in the scripture too. It actually says exactly that. But let me go back over into Job. Watch this. We barely read one verse so far. Let me go back over to Job chapter 24, KJV. I didn't even get the last precept I wanted to bring out on that. I should though. No, I'm all right. Revelation chapter 17, KJV. I got to get this other precept on Job for the first chapter, just because this is what I hate that. They'll put up the New International Version every time. And see, the reason why I won't read the New International Version is because if you go to Matthew chapter 18, verse 11, they've removed it from the New International Version Bible. And it says a very basic thing. He's come for that which is lost. And they don't want you to know who's lost. So they just kicked it out. What does it say about removing words and stuff in the Bible? 22 and 12, I think, or 22 and 22.
It said they shall not remove or put in nothing.
Yep, or you will receive the full wrath.
That's the Revelation.
Yeah, that's in chapter 22, I think, in verse 22 or 23. Okay, let me get this. Revelation chapter 17, starting from the top. And there came one of the seven angels which had 7 bells and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show you unto thee the judgment of the great whore which sitteth upon many waters. So we know that America has the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Antarctic, the Arctic. We're sitting on the Gulf of Mexico. We're sitting on many waters. So, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. We know for a fact, just by watching TV, that everybody's trying to be like America. So they're drunk from the wine of her fornication, and that right there proves, according to Scripture, that we're in the last days. I just showed you. I haven't even made it to the third verse yet, and we're completely engulfed in the last days, and you can tell. It's just too easy. This book is too easy for a real Israelite that is sincere in the truth. And I forgot to tell you guys that. Double honors to all of my brothers and sisters that had the name sealed in your forehead. That's in other words, not many people can receive that the name is Yahweh. Believe it or not. So in your mind, when you can remember that and that sticks to you and you keep it. It says that you got to call him by his name. I will know him by his name. How is it to keep talking about his name, but I'm just going to call him Greg? Wouldn't you get mad at what's your name?
Gerald.
Gerald. My name is Ollie. Everybody calls me Ollie pretty much. it's a Apache name actually. It means tree of life. But if I didn't call you by your name, Gerald, if I start calling you Scott, you'd be like after part, like, bro, my name ain't Scott.
Yeah.
So why would Yahushua be any different? And they tell you can call him by anything you want. His name ain't Jesus. That means Little Zeus or Hail Zeus. Yeah, it's embarrassing, honestly.
Wow.
So we know that we're in the end times just from the first two verses in Job, and I'm going to read the whole chapter. So it's going to take me all day on this one probably. Let me see. Let me go. Job chapter 24 verse 2. We still never made it to verse 2 yet. Now, this thing does this to me every time. Job chapter 24 and verse 2. Oh man, it's doing its best to mess with me. That was tough. I made it. Well, this tablet, it does this all the time. When I start bringing out the word, this tablet starts messing up on every level. It works all day, anywhere, every day, until I bring out scripture. Then it starts glitching out. So I just deal with it. But I know that the Most High is dealing with me, so it really doesn't bother me that bad. So let's go. So verse 2. Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. So they've removed all of our original landmarks for sure. They've put their own in those places. They've torn down our holy places and built cities over them. They've taken our sacred burial grounds and built malls and parking lots. But and there's a precept for that too. Proverbs chapter 22 KJV. Yep, if you go down to verse 28 in Proverbs chapter 22. Proverbs chapter 22 KJV verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. So this is like an ordinance from the Most High. He's saying don't take our stuff and remove it. This is what I would consider a sin now that is written this way in the scriptures. These guys are committing iniquities against not only the people, but against their creator. And that's all there is to it. Let's go back to Job. This is where it's going to get good, right here. Okay. This is Job 24 and verse 3. They drive away the asses of the fatherless. They take away the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Let me read one more. Behold, as wild asses in the desert, go they forth to do their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yieldeth food for them and for their children. So what is that really saying right there? This is the one I'm going to have to go to the I'm going to get a translation out of the Living Bible. The Living Bible, Job chapter 24. Watch this. So now I'm going to read verse 3, 4, and 5 again. And I think you'll have a better understanding and how it literally relates to today. Even the donkeys of the poor and the fatherless are taken. Poor widows must surrender the little that they have as a pledge to get a loan. The needy are kicked aside. They must get out of the way. Like the wild donkeys in the desert, the poor must spend all their time just getting barely enough to keep soul and body together. Makes a little more sense now, right? I use it in Living Bible translation every now and then because I couldn't have broke it down better myself right there. But you understand, like, that's right now. We're poor, we can't scrape up enough to get a loan even.
Right, you can't get it.
So poor could barely pay attention. Because you know what? And that's not, it's funny, but when you think about it, I'm so poor I can't pay attention. Why? Because you're always thinking in the back of your head of all of the things that are going wrong in your life, and somebody's actually talking to you, and you're like, huh, what? And you're distracted. So as it's funny, it's real. It's a real thing. Let me keep going. Let's go back over into, let's get another precept, because we saw that how we're going to have to work our asses off to barely have anything. Watch this. This is a book that they kicked out of the Bible, and a book called the Apocrypha. The word Apocrypha means secret document, not for public use. Why would they take books out of the Bible and put them in a book called secret document, not for public use? That's what the word Apocrypha means. So let's go into the Apocrypha, since we're not supposed to. Baruch chapter 3, KJV. Oh, believe me, it doesn't even want to let me have that one either. There it is. Baruch chapter 3, KJV. Watch this. Starting at verse 7. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name. You mean Scott? Craig? Oh, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And praise thee in our captivity. So what are we supposed to do while we're in captivity? We're going to learn to praise Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. So we understand that these are sins now, and we're not going to do them anymore. We shouldn't be. How are you going to give praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai in your captivity if you're not following his instructions? I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to say it because I don't think you've ever heard it. You'll follow GPS to get from point A to point B. This book is a GPS for the Israelites. It tells us law, statute, commandments. What happens if you keep them? What happens if you don't? It tells you who to be around. It tells you who not to be around. It literally gives you instructions on every aspect of life, down to what you should wear and what you should eat. How you should think, how it's a sin to be always worried about everything. Worry not. It shows no faith. So this is our instruction. That's why they don't want us. That's why it's punishable by death. It makes sense now, huh? It's punishable by death. And the way he's reading it, man, he's making sense. I ain't the church. I ain't the pastor. I'm just some guy off the street that the Most High put the Spirit on to read this book. That's who I am. I'm what you're called. I'm what is called a messenger. Look it up. You're going to find out one day who I am. Baruch chapter 3, starting at verse 7 again. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before us. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, to be subject to payment. So why is this? Why are we out here like donkeys working as hard as we can to barely get anything? Because we are subject to payment. Why are we subject to payment? According to all the iniquities of our forefathers, which departed from the Lord our God. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. How did we depart? Well, they told us, oh, the law's been done away with. It's only 10 commandments. No, he wrote 10 commandments and sealed them in the Ark of the Covenant, because those are the ones that he said out loud. But I could have swore when I read the Bible the last 10 times in a row, it said that the people begged Moses to have Yahweh stop speaking, because surely we would all die, because they were that scared. People were probably, you ever been so scared parents pee your pants a little bit? Can you imagine when the creator of everything shows up on the top of a mountain and there's storms and thundering and lightning coming out while he speaks? And some people can hear his words and some can't. Some just hear the thundering and the lightning, and other people are hearing the words. So it's a big deal. So let's keep going on this Baruch though. Let's read some more of this Baruch. Because now we're going to isolate this down to who he's really talking to, because we're subject to payment. We've done iniquity. Well, why is everybody done iniquity against the forefather? Or is it just certain people? Let's find out. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Yasha Allah, Israel. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom. So who is he talking to? Israelites only. Why are they so mad about the Bible? Because it's written for the Israelites. Who are the Israelites? Well, and Deuteronomy says they were going to come here on slave ships. So who are the Israelites? You got to ask yourself now. Yes, it's us. It's us. Why is it? Well, if we got to get this V nation out, we need the blacks, the Mexicans, and the Indians first. We need them to be the first ones to get that V nation. Why? Because we're the Israelites? And now they need everybody to get it, because in this day and age, if you've been scattered to the four corners of the earth, you're going to be in China. There's going to be Israelites that look like Chinese people. You go to Africa, there's going to be some African booty scratchers, but turn out to be Israelites. You're going to have white people that you think are Caucasians that are going to be Israelites. Why do you think they want everybody? Everybody. But the only people that won't step forward and try to get the V Nation are the blacks, the Hispanics, and the so-called Indians. Why? Because of the Tuskegee experiments. Free health care. Go ahead and get vaccinated. And then they give everybody fucking syphilis. Think about it. Why would we want to deal with you guys? We don't trust you. Salvation is for the Jews. We need to be saved from this. Pretty soon it's going to be mandatory. And who's going to save us? What man on this earth is going to step forward and save you? There is no man. There's only one. And his name is Yahweh Shai. And when he shows up, it's going to be too late to repent. And you're going to wish that you never heard anything I said, because you're going to know the whole ass truth. You go right back to your everyday life after hearing this, you got to watch out. Because the Most High called you already. You have been called to greatness, to righteousness, because there's no way that he's going to have you stop. If he wants you, you stop. Look at all the people that haven't stopped. Ain't nobody stopping. Nobody wants to hear this. It's the truth. The truth hurts, right, everybody? Oh, and the truth is, but you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So what does that mean? It's breaking these social constructs. This whole end time prophecy is just breaking the social construct on everything, because you're starting to see things for what they really are. They don't give a crap about you. You find out the Democrats were really the Dixiecrats, which was started by the KKK. The whole party was the KKK at first, and the Republicans were the ones that actually were with black people. Nobody likes black people. We know that. Both sides are racist. But one side is I don't know, I think they're both bad, but I just know one thing for sure. The Democrats used to be called Dixiecrats. The Dixiecrats were started by the KKK. You can't take that back, you can't change it. So when you try to justify it, just remember what they're doing to you right now. They're saying, hey is okay. You see what I'm saying? No, it's not. The scriptures speak that they'll see. It says that we're supposed to keep all the laws, but we have grace. You know what grace is, right? You know the laws, you learn the laws and you know them, then you have to be circumspect also in the laws. Because when you have grace, this grace period is, let's just say it like this. If a person is a so-called gay, according to the scripture, not my own personal writings or thoughts, but according to what the Bible says, you stone him to death and bury him under a pile of rocks. When your child is unruly and doesn't follow instruction, you take him to the elders of the camp and they make a decision and determine whether to stone your child to death and bury him under a pile of rocks. There's a lot. Of course we're not doing those things. Of course we don't do those things. But the Most High said, he's bringing the law back. My word does not change. This law will be returned. But also, the children of Israel will have it sealed in their hearts to never break the law. You're not going to go jump off a cliff. It'd be like the same scenario. To break the law, it would feel like this. You would have that same intense, scared feeling. We don't have that yet. We have stony hearts. We think that we can justify ourselves and get away with shit. Well, we can't. We just really can't. And all they're doing is marking off every little thing you do. And every now and then he goes, you know what, let's wipe him clean and put judgment on him. And if he makes it through, we'll start him over again. And you know what, he just keeps judging you. Every time you fill up the marks again, he judges you. So how do you stop the judgment? You start following the instructions. And it doesn't happen overnight. None of this stuff happens overnight. I've been in the truth for I would say about 7 years. And the first 3 or 4, 5 years, nothing happened right in my life. I was still in the world. Like it says, you will praise the Most High in your captivity. I was still in the full strength of captivity, but reading the scriptures and trying to keep the laws to the best of my abilities according to my knowledge. So it wasn't like, oh, you did, and like a little kid. Hey, if you clean your room and you be good, I'll go ahead and get you a present. I'll give you a reward, right? So they get in there, what do? They put one thing away, and you have to go in and look at the room and go, this isn't clean. You go back in. This isn't clean. You go back in. This isn't clean. So gold is refined in the fire. There's impurities in gold, right? So how do you tell when it's clean? The room isn't clean yet. Your soul isn't clean. So how is it that you're going to tell when your soul is clean? How does the gold refiner tell that the gold has been refined? When you can see your reflection in it. So when he can see himself in you, that's when you're clean. That's when you've been refined. And so then things might start to happen a little bit, or maybe a lot. I can't tell you. My thoughts are not his thoughts, and his are way higher than mine. So you might just step right into everything just in 1 second. Me, the Most High wasn't dealing with me like that. He wanted me to prove myself. He said, you're going to prove yourself today, boy. And all these other days, I did my week. So doing a week, according to scripture, is 7 years of labor. How far did Jacob work to get his first wife? 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
And then he said you complete your week, right? So after 7 years, I feel like I've completed my week. And so I come out and I teach now. I actually started teaching last year.
Wow. That's good.
On the streets. I've been teaching for a lot of years by myself to my family and all that, but I wasn't ready yet to come out here because you've got to actually get a more of a clear understanding on these streets because people are going to ask questions. I mean, if you have any question, I got to make sure that I can answer it. I can't just hope that I know the answer.
Right.
And then, plus the Spirit has to be on you. You have to have the Spirit. If you don't have the Spirit, then you're going to come out and turn into, and everybody does it. You guys all know. If you get caught wearing a damn baseball cap to bring out the word, you know there's a problem. If you're asking for money, Patreon, GoFundMe, any of that, I don't need that. I'm like Paul, like I said. I have ministered and gotten everything with these hands, and I've been able to help my brothers with these hands, not taking from, hey man, let me get that cash app, let me get this, that. I don't want nothing from anybody other than for you to hear the word, take notes, and learn these scriptures, and maybe we can all rejoice in the kingdom together. That's my reward, is the kingdom. The money here is about to be taken away. You guys don't even know what real money is if you're playing with dollar bills. That's called fiat cash, fake currency. Anyway, let's go back into it. All right, so here we're going right back into Baruch, back into the precepts that I was bringing out. Baruch chapter 3, starting at verse 9 again. Hear, Israel, the commandments of life, and give ear to understand wisdom. The commandments of life are because we are the ones that get to live. Nobody else is going to get this. I've created, Adam is the created all other nations, but also my chosen. So that's right, the Most High chose somebody. He chose someone. And so that's why everybody's mad, because everybody wants to be chosen and they're not, and they're wicked. And it says that also in Exodus, how everybody's so wicked and they would have never kept the laws anyway, so I'm going to give you all their land. Well, why did we just go and take it? We didn't take everybody's land, it was given to us because they weren't willing to follow any instructions. But anyway, hear, Israel, the commandments of life, give ear to understand wisdom. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land? How did we get here? I just told you. That's right. That thou mayest know also where is length of days and life, where is the light of the eyes and peace. How much farther am I going to go on this one? Oh, I already went past it. So, where was it? Oh yeah. How it happeneth, I'm sorry, how have I lost my place? How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead. To be defiled with the dead in spirit. So it says that they shall lie dead in the street 3.5 days, and then they'll rise up, and the people shall bewail them and be fearful. Why? Because this is the 3.5 days right now. We're rising up out of a dead spirit. The dead spirit is, and so when it says that you're dwelling with the dead, you're in there with the dead of spirit. So right now we're all waking up back into the truth. That spirit is being removed, and the people are getting scared. They're criminalizing the truth. Oh, you can't say that. I'll get my video taken down just for saying certain things, so I have to really watch my mouth. And I mean, no, they won't just erase the video, they'll erase my whole ass channel. They're not playing around, they know the truth. They knew it before we did. That's why they made it illegal for us to read the book. But let me just keep going. So, that thou art defiled with the dead. Thou art counted with them that go down into the grave. Thou hast forsaken the fountain of wisdom. In other words, you don't want to hear the truth. And then that goes into Isaiah 30 and 9 through 11. It says, they told I have to read it now. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 9 and 10. Isaiah chapter 30, KJV. Watch this. So, because they forsook the truth, right? They didn't want to hear the truth. Watch this. This is Isaiah chapter 30, starting at verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of Yahweh, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. They want you to lie. So they don't want to hear the truth. They forsook the truth. They don't want to hear none of that stuff. And if they did, we wouldn't be here. There's only very few of us. That's why many are called, but few are chosen. It says 144,000 from each tribe will be judges and rulers over the nation of Israel. That's 144,000 within the 1/3. So there's a 1/3 too. Not everybody's a judge and a ruler. Just be too many Indians, not too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Yep. It ain't gonna happen like that. So there's leaders, and then there's people that are just gonna be Israel that live normal life. But we're all gonna be as kings, even the ones that are living the normal life.
Yeah.
But that's only the people that come back to the laws, the statutes within the laws, and the direct commands. Like I said, according to your knowledge, to the best of your ability. And this day I've already given you examples of things we can't do at this time. And that we shouldn't even have to do in the kingdom, honestly. We shouldn't have to go through that kind of stuff because he's already sealed us. Let's go back to Job. Job chapter 24, KJV. This is why they don't want me in the church. I'm gonna read the Bible. I read the Bible. They don't like that. They want us to read one verse, maybe two, out of context, and then tell you a life story and a testimony of their own personal breakthroughs.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
I don't care. I'm not paying you. They be looking down my throat too, throwing a quarter and there you go. I ain't friends with them. I can't be. All right, this is Job chapter 24 and verse 6. They reap everyone his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. So in other words, we have to go to our enemies to eat. We have to go, and that's in Deuteronomy also. You will go, watch this. So this is also a prophecy against us for not keeping the laws. It would be Deuteronomy chapter 28. It says that you will go into your oppressor in nakedness and in thirst and in want of all things. So nakedness, thirst, and want of all things. So it's saying that you're going to gather your corn and get your vintage from the wicked. So what are we doing? We're going to our oppressor in the want of all things. And that means like your clothes. We don't own textiles. We don't own the land and grow the raw materials to get the textiles. We don't put clothes together. We don't do none of that. If I own a clothing company, I'm buying something from China, and they're putting it all together for me.
Yeah.
They're making the big money, and I'm making a little bit off of it because I had to pay for everything to be done. See, now if I owned everything, I could do it for pennies on the dollar like they did, but I don't. So my little clothing company might fold because I need to be able to produce more at a lower cost. So we got to go to our oppressor in one of all things. They own everything. Whose face is on the money? They might be taking it away, but I tell you what, since day one, they've been putting their face on the money. So we already know. But let's go back into it. Job chapter 24 and verse 6 again. They reap everyone is pouring in the field and gather the vintage of the wicked. They got to go to their oppressors to get the food. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, and that they have no covering in the cold. And I just told you what I literally just told you. You go to nakedness and want of all things. So food, water, nakedness, everything. We literally said it before I read the verse. The words are coming out quick. They are wet with the showers of the mountains and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. Homelessness. They pluck the fatherless from the breast and take a pledge of the poor. You know what? Job chapter 24, the Living Bible.
It's getting straight to the point.
It really does. But sometimes with the King James, I can understand that it might be harder for people to understand, and then there's people that just pick it right up. Oh yeah. But a lot of times I end up having to go into words and show you in Hebrew that this word actually doesn't mean this, and this means that. And so this, what I want to do, I just want to read it again in the Living Bible just to see what they're going to say. So I'm going to start at 6 where it says you got to get your food from the wicked. They eat what they find that grows wild and must even glean the vineyards of the wicked. Even is an old English word that means indeed. So they must indeed glean the vineyards of the wicked. So they have to go and gleaning. So when in Levitical law, when they shake the trees, they shake them once and then they leave what's left for the poor and the homeless to glean. In other words, so they can pick food too. So they're having to go to the wicked and pick whatever they have left over. Now the wicked don't follow our laws, so they might be lucky to get one or two. Them niggas gonna shake that tree until everything falls off, maybe even cut the damn tree down and pluck it all the way. Might be one on top, we gotta get that last one. And they're like that. And it says that in Obadiah too, how they literally will rob everything, even scrape the dust off the ground. So it's good that we're getting out of this one. Verse 7, all night they lie naked in the cold without clothing or covering. You shall go into your oppressor in nakedness and in want of all things. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and they live in caves for want of a home. They're literally homeless, like I told you. So let's go back over to, I want to get Deuteronomy chapter 28, KJV. I'm going to get a quick precept. Because they take away your food and your abundance, anything you got. So I'm going to show you what we've been talking about going to your oppressor and want of all things. I'm going to bring out the verse.
Yeah.
So Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Remember the physical yoke of iron? So we couldn't run through the forest, we'd get caught up by the trees. So, and then you make it illegal for us to read books like the Bible. So that's how he destroyed us. He put a yoke of iron on our necks. We were physically in hardcore slavery bondage until we didn't know who we were. Now, for the majority of people, when you tell them that they're an Israelite, they look at you like, no, I'm a Christian. They don't realize it's a bloodline of people. It is a nation of people. It is not a religion. You cannot convert to Chinesism. You cannot convert to Africanism. I'm an Africanist. Really? You're an African now? You just converted? You could be an African citizen. You could be a Chinese citizen. But you can't be a bloodline Chinese person unless your forefathers are Chinese. So when it's talking about Israel, it's not talking about a religion. It's talking about a nation of people. And so people get that mixed up real quick. This ain't a religion. These are instructions in an instruction book that told a specific group of people to follow it. And he said, I don't care about anybody else. They're all less than spittle. Shall I get that? Watch this. All other nations, Shalom Akiyam. All other nations are less than all other nations are less than spittle. Second Esdras, chapter 6, verse 56. Second Esdras is in the Apocrypha. What does Apocrypha mean? Secret document, not for public use. So here's some more secret documents that are not for public use that they took out of the Bible. So let's see what it says. Second Esdras, chapter 6 and 56. As for the other people, which also come from Adam, thou hast said, they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So you're less than a drop that falls out of a water bottle. You are worthless to the Most High. So the other nations don't like to hear that. They don't like it so much, they literally removed it from the Bible. And it's also in, I think, Genesis too. I just don't remember where it's at right now. But let's go back to get some more precepts. Second Chronicles, chapter 12, KJV. We're going to go down to verse 8. So Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem and took away the treasures. There it is. They took away their treasures and said, well, I told you they're going to take away the food and the abundance of the houses of the Lord and the treasures of the kings. And he took all. So they took everything. They scraped the dust off the floor, just like I told you. And he carried away also the shields of gold, which Solomon had made. So they cleaned the place out. They took the people too. They took all the garments, they took all the gold, the silver, food, the livestock. They cleaned the place out. And that's a perpetual curse against us for not following the laws. Why do you think they tell you that there's only 10 commandments? Because there's 613 commandments that we're supposed to be following. Like I said, to the best of your ability, according to your knowledge.
613.
Some of them we just can't keep. That's because they won't teach you that. Who's going to teach us the truth? There is no such thing as the truth when it comes to America. The word America means bitter. But and you know what's funny? Because it's an Italian, what is it called? A map maker. I want to use the correct word, but I don't remember it right now. An Italian map maker named Amerigo Vespucci. And then you got the other guy over in Africa, Scipios, Africanos. They're both Italians. So Africa's an Italian word. Ham, Canaan. That's the land. That's the land over there. It's the land of Canaan, the land of Ham. Hamitic translates to the word ham, Hamite. So when you say that you're Kemetic, you're just saying that you're an African, a Scipios Africanos. That's all you're doing. So, and yeah, Kemet was first. That was like their first religion. But anyway, so back to 2 Chronicles 12 and 8. Let's read it again. Or I didn't even read it yet. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service and the service of the kingdom of the countries. 9. So Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem, and they took away the treasures of the Lord, of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's houses. He took all. He carried away also the shields of gold which Solomon had made. So now we know what that means, that they came in and ravaged the place. But the point is they're still doing it to this day. You make a certain amount of money, they can look at Bill Cosby. Now he's a pedophile, but look at the what was his name? Leo Frank. He is a so-called Jewish person. They made the ADL when he got caught raping a child. I forget what it was. I forget what the ADL stands for. But they made a whole organization of people to protect him from going into court. Bill Cosby has billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. This dude couldn't protect himself to say.
So okay.
No, he couldn't, because he's a nigga and he's a slave. But the other guy, his family rules the earth. So, and Job, and you haven't heard this one either. Job chapter 9, verse 24, KJV. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not him, then who is he? So, who is the wicked? That's what this is all about. And yes, I'm going to say it. You so-called Caucasians line up with the wicked. Now, there's some of you that are Israelites. So I don't really like to say, all white people are evil, because that's not true. But I'm going to say a majority of you are. A majority of you are. You rule the earth. You go into every other country and you put a garrison in every country and you leave it there. You know what that is? A base. So you can have some little bit of control over the people. And it said that all the people that were, all the nations that were at peace with you have lied to you. And they're getting ready to take your ass out too. It says that they're going to shoot arrows and they will not return void. All this is getting ready to happen. So we have to be out here. If we're not out here, who's going to tell you anything? How would you know that you were doing wrong if something or someone didn't tell you? How would you know there was sin unless it was written that this is sin? But the laws have been in place since Adam. They had to be written down during the time of Moses because people weren't sealed in their hearts. But these laws are basic. It's basic. Basically, you should know better than to be a dude trying to mess with another dude. That's just basic. You should know better than trying to rob your neighbor or be looking over at the fence trying to check his wife out. Those are basic things. If pork scientifically creates worms in your stomach and the Bible says do not eat the swine's flesh, you got to put 2 and 2 together and say, wait a second, this causes health problems? And the Most High is telling you, he's throwing you a bone. He's just throwing you a bone, telling you, hey, this is how you stay healthy. But if you ain't coming into my house like that, stinking like a pig, eating bottom feeders, eating catfish, eating shit eaters. All that stuff is. All the delicacies of Babylon are eat shit to survive. They eat whatever's on the ground. Pigs, crab, lobster. What else? Anything else? The octopus. I mean, they eat weird things. And then the richer you get, the more they want to have it more exotic. Crack a monkey's head open and eat his brain while he's still looking around. These things are blasphemies, and they will be judged. You will be judged on all of this. Everything you guys do, you're going to be judged on. But yes, so if the world's given to the hands of the wicked, now we know who we need to be saved from. It's that simple. The scriptures. This is why they don't let me read I told them they're not ready for my class in the church, because once I teach it, either half the people are going to leave or they're all going to lynch me.
They probably try to lynch you.
I think they try and lynch me because I'll be hated for his namesake. But believe me, they hated him before they hated me. They definitely did, because he came first.
Yes.
So let's get another. I'm just going to go through all my precepts today. Jeremiah chapter 5, KJV. Go down to verse 19. And it shall come to pass, when ye shall say, Wherefore doth Yahweh our God, Yahweh our Lord, all these things unto us? Why is he doing this to us? Then shalt thou answer them, like as ye were forsaken me, and served strange gods in your land, so shall ye serve strange gods in the land that is not yours. So you wanted to worship their gods? And I'll put you in their land and show you. Go ahead, worship them. I'm turning my back. The God, he doesn't speak to us anymore. This God doesn't take care of us. He doesn't protect, because you didn't follow instructions in the beginning. If you're not following from the jump, he's telling you, I'm going to have to punish you now. Since you didn't follow me in your own land with an abundance and all things given and handed over to you on a silver platter, a gold platter, I'm going to put you in the land of the gods that you wish to worship. And guess what? Guess what the big secret is about these other gods?
What's that?
Israelites are the sacrifice for all of the other gods.
Yeah.
Look it up in history. We are the main course. We are the sacrifice. There's a good book for you to read. It's called The Delectable Nigger. They used to have breeding camps during slavery. The Delectable Nigger. So they had breeding camps during slavery, right? Those breeding camps were for food. They were eating us. Read the book. We were a product like cattle. So you had nigger skin boots, nigger skin suits, and yes, they used us for soups and all kinds of delicacies. And I'm not joking. You can read it for yourself. So this is why they don't want us reading books, because all of this information is in books.
That's crazy.
Yep. That's how you got a bunch of effeminate gay people too, because they'll take the good-looking guy on the ship and they'll either kill your ass and make you food, or just read the book. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was really tough for me. I didn't make it through the whole book. It's pretty harsh. It's a true story. So this is a true documented story. So that's why it gets like whoa there. So you're really tripping at the end. So let's go back into it. Jeremiah chapter 5 and verse 19. And they shall eat up thine harvest, thy bread, which thy sons and thy daughters should eat. They shall eat up thy flocks and thy herds. They shall eat up thy vines and thy fig tree. They shall impoverish thy fenced cities, wherein thou trustest with the sword. So where thou hast trusted with the sword. In other words, let me read it again. Let me go to the TLB. It might be a little easier. Jeremiah 5 and 19 TLB. There it is. 17 through 19. It gave it all to me anyway. The first time this thing's ever done something nice. It gave me all 3 verses instead of the 1. Okay, so, and they shall eat your harvest and your children's bread and your flocks of sheep and your herds of cattle. Yes, and your grapes and figs, and they shall sack your walled cities that you think are safe. But I will not blot you out, says the Lord. I'm not going to help you because you didn't keep the laws. So why are we in this captivity? Why are we always taking the bus? Why are we walking everywhere? Why can't we have the house out there in the hills on the mountain? Because we didn't do what we were supposed to in the first place. That's why we're in the land of our oppressors, serving their gods. And I'm going to show you that too real quick. And when your people ask, why is it that the Lord is doing this to us? Then you shall say, you rejected him and gave yourselves to other gods. Damn, I'm saying it before I even finish the verse. You can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't. You're giving yourselves to other gods while in your land, now you must be slaves to foreigners in their land. So, I wanted to show you the gods. I'm going to show you the gods he's talking about right now that we rejected him for. It's in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 28, KJV. You're going to know exactly, when I read this, you're going to know exactly who these gods are. Go down to there it is. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. You got it? And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Indeed, wood and stone. What religion has wood? What was Christ crucified on? On a wooden cross. What are them Muslims walking around in circles at Mecca licking on? A dirty ass rock, a stone. Wood and stone. I don't know if you saw this, but like a week or two ago, they were doing the daily prayer in Mecca, and millions of roaches came right out of the ground and covered the entire place, and they were crawling on them and everything. I made a video out of it.
Wow.
But it happened. They've been debunked. The Most High is not with them. The Most High would never let something like that happen to one of his places of worship. But he doesn't dwell in buildings built with man's hands. It says that. So all these church buildings too, they're liars. They are all liars. So let's go back into Job. Job chapter 24, KJV. Verse 11. And many... Why are they doing that to me? Did it again. Anytime I say chapter 24, it wants to go straight to Matthew. There's a lot of prophecy in Matthew chapter 24. I recommend reading that whole chapter. All the way down to the parable of the fig tree. So you read down about...
Matthew 24?
Yeah, that's the one that has what I was reading when I told you wars, the rumors of wars, the nations, all that. People will rise up saying that they're Christ. If it was anywise possible, they would fool the very elect. All that is in Matthew chapter 24. We're going to go back into Job chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 11. So, yeah, I'll start at 10. I'll go back to 10 again. Job chapter 24, starting at 10. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the chafe from the hungry. A chafe is grain that's been cut and then bound together. So you when you have all the grain and then they have it wrapped up, and so they put it over their back like a backpack and stuff. That's a chafe. Also, a sign of abundance. So that chafe, to say they took away their chafe, is to say they took away their abundance also. So there's a spiritual and a physical meaning to these verses. So they physically took their food away, but spiritually they took away their abundance. Well, and physically, really. So let's keep going. 11. Well, yeah, so which make oil within their walls and tread their wine presses and suffer thirst. So they cause them to go naked without clothing. They take away the wine presses. They take away the oils. They're just taking away everything, like I said. In the book of Obadiah, it talks about the curses on the Edomites. So a Caucasian in the Bible, a true blue white person, is actually called an Edomite in the Bible. The word Edomite means wasted away. Isu, wasted away. So you have no melanin.
So that's like Esau, and I think there was one child born.
Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Jacob, Yasha Allah. So how you say Israel in Hebrew is Yasha Allah. I always just pronounce it very specific, Yasha Allah, because that's what it's actually, that's the actual pronunciation, Allah. So Yasha, Prince, Allah, power, Prince of Power. Well, it's Israel, who is the Prince of Peace or the Prince of Power, right? But Allah is God-like power. That's what that word means, God-like power. So I'm going to use the word power in that. Yasha Allah, the Prince of God-like power. Isn't that neat? So we're Yasha Allah. We're not Israel. In fact, that name Israel reminds me of Isis Ra Baal. When you say it together really fast. Isis Ra Baal. Israel.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so you never know with the because we are in the stammering tongue. The place where we live, we will learn the doctrine of this book through a different tongue. So, and we call it the stammering tongue. And when you think of, and in scriptures it said we're going to learn this doctrine through a stammering tongue. So somebody at one time tried to tell me that, well, Hebrew's the stammering tongue. I'm like, but that's funny because each character in Hebrew has one meaning and a numerology meaning. So it's a number and a meaning. So when you go into English, you've got, let's use an example. I went to the store. You want to go two? We get 2 loaves of bread. Too many twos. You see what I'm saying? That's stammering. Like, you got to really know something to even speak in our language. People can speak in code to somebody that just came to this country.
Great. And they do speak in code.
Yes, they do. That's all we do is speak in code. It's called slang. We speak in a slang so people don't understand what we're saying. So, and it's a stammering tongue. So all these different words. I mean, like, it's just like so much stuff. I have all these, I'm trying to think of another example, but really I don't need to. You know for yourself that there's a lot of words that they say the exact same thing but mean something different. So let's keep going. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out. Yet Yahweh layeth not folly to them. So he's saying he's not taking down the enemy, but they're taking us out. They are those that rebel against the light. Yep, that rebel against the light, that know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murder rising with the light killeth the poor and needy, and the night is as a thief. We're gonna have to go back to the TLB with that, huh?
Yeah, I gotta go to this meeting at 12.
Oh, it's okay, man. I'm just glad that you were able to hear anything.
All right, yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
No, it was my pleasure to be able to speak to you. That's like, this is my job. It's my job. It's my job. You know what I'm saying? This is all I care about in life. But I only get to do it for a very short time because of my job. My actual job is very demanding. So I'm lucky to be able to be out here
learned
this
something
time.
today.
But all right, stay up. Man.
All right, what you come out here every now and then?
Just on your phone, you can watch this when you get home. I'll put this over here. Let him get one last look. It's on YouTube. And it would be go to the search. Go K 6 J 1 V 3. So when you pull the numbers apart from the letters, it actually says KJV 615.
Oh, well, okay, I got you.
And so you just subscribe, and yeah, then
All right.
I put up random videos about my puppies because a bunch of people watch that stuff, but then they click onto my channel and I'm hoping that I can catch them that way. So if you see random puppy videos, it's just because I'm just trying to get people to click onto the channel. But anyway, it was really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you again for listening.
Hey, yo, I'll be honest. Thank you.
All right, so let's get back into it. Job chapter 24, we're going to read verse 13 again. 13 again. They are those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, and abide not in the paths thereof. The murder, and let me get I want to get a precept on that really quick. I want to get a precept on that. And Matthew chapter 25, KJV. Starting from the top. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins who took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. And they that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. So, when you're in 13, these are those that rebelled against the light. So they had no oil in their lamp because they never put it in there. They hated the light. Now, when it's going to be time to leave, they're going to wish that they had, they're going to be asking for that oil. So if you're on your spare time, you might want to read the parable of the 10 virgins. So, the murder rising with the light killeth the poor and the needy, and in the night is as a thief. So, let me keep going. In the night is as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waiteth for the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguiseth his face. Psalms chapter 10, KJV. Starting at verse 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the village. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eye is privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. And his net is his trap. Let's keep going. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong one. So he comes in all soft and smooth and easy, and then he lays the attack.
What are you doing?
Shalom Afiam. I'm teaching the Bible.
What is this for?
It's on YouTube.
What's your YouTube channel?
K6. You got a phone? It's K6 J1V3. So it's KJ. K. Oh man, they're out there going crazy.
Oh God.
He's trying to catch a fade from the cops. They got the lights on right there.
I know. I guess they're on down here today, huh?
They always come out here. I always come on Saturdays because I mean on Sundays because on Saturdays I was always getting a lot of crazy ass people. So it's K6 J1V3. Yeah, I'm just teaching end time prophecies. These are the days. So all these days, that's what we're in right now.
What does that mean?
What? We're in the end times. So Yahweh Shai, who everybody so ignorantly calls Jesus, is getting ready to return. And whether people believe it or not, or accept it or not, that doesn't stop all the prophecies that are fulfilled within the Bible. So if you're a regular studier of the Bible, you would realize all these things are happening, and they're happening right in front of our face, but they refuse to teach us the truth in the scriptures. So we really don't know that they're happening and that they're prophecies being fulfilled. But they do. That's why they keep working faster and faster and pushing harder and harder to put us in this place where we can't do anything. They're trying to trap us. Remember, they said, didn't they tell us, anybody that wants that V nation, I can't say the real word, but they wanted to make sure all the blacks, the Mexicans, and the Indians went first. Why? Why do we got to go first? And now you see everybody's having heart attacks and blood clots and dying from it. It's like, why would they tell us that we have to be first? There was a time before you were born, before I was born, they had these experiments called the Tuskegee experiment. And in the movie Half Baked, Dave Chappelle makes a joke, yeah, my grandfather was in the Tuskegee experiments. Well, the Tuskegee experiments were when they gave so-called black people free health care. And they would take vaccinations, so they give them vaccinations. What they were really doing with this vaccination they were giving them was giving them syphilis. So nowadays, we know this. We know what you did back then to our grandparents. So when they tell us that we need to be first, we don't even want to be any part of it at all. So they're going door to door in our neighborhood and saying, why aren't you guys doing this? Because we're smarter than that now. We're smarter. You already did that to us. You already screwed us over once. We're not falling for that again. Oh yeah, that's no problem. Shalom, Akio. Matthew chapter 25. Are we in 20? Yeah, 25. No. We're gonna go. We were in Psalms chapter 10. We'll go read verse 8 through 11 again. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, and in secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and he humbleth himself. So they always try to play like they're this nice, easygoing person, but listen to this carefully. He croucheth and he humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. So he's tricking you, he's deceiving you. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face and will never see it. Ariseth, O Lord, O God, lift up thine hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doth the wicked contemn God. He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. What's going on over there? Usually it's pretty quiet out here on Sundays, but I guess I picked the right one today. I picked the right day. Let's go back into Job. Job chapter 24, KJV. Job chapter 24, KJV. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I'm still got some battery left. Okay, let's go back into it, guys. We're going to jump back into it at verse 16. So in 15, the eyes, this is verse 15 again, the eyes of the adulterer waiteth in the twilight, saying, no eye shall see me, and disguiseth his face. So now you understand, 14 and 15. We broke it down for you correctly, so now you can have a better understanding of it. Let's go to 16. In the dark they dig through houses, which they have marked for themselves in the daytime. They know not the light. In the dark they dig through the houses, which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. They know not the light. For the morning is to them as the shadow of death. If one knoweth them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. So, if you know them, you're with them. So let's get a precept. John chapter 3, KJV. Going down to verse 20. But he that doeth the truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. So, oh wait, I'm sorry, that was 21. Let me read 20. Sorry about that. John chapter 3, verse 20. I read 21. Verse 20. For everyone that doth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. That's why it says that in the morning time, it's like the angel of death to them, because they can be seen. They want to go out in the dark where they can't be seen. They're out robbing your house. They literally, that's right now. They mark your house during the day. They come back, they watch you, they make sure that you're not there, and they come and take everything you've got. It's scripture now. These are scriptures being read. This is a prophecies being fulfilled in the Bible. Whether people believe it or not, or want to or not, it doesn't even matter anymore. What matters is the prophecies are going to be fulfilled no matter what. Ephesians chapter 5, KJV. Let's go and start at verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfaithful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. In other words, correct them. Don't have fellowship with them, correct them. Like I said, if you're caught with them, you're one of them. Don't have fellowship with them unless you're correcting them. For it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. They are so evil that it's shameful to speak of the things that they do. Let's go one more. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. So if you can be corrected, the light came in and took over. For whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Okay? So, let's get one more precept. Ezekiel chapter 12, KJV. We're going to start at verse 5. Dig thou through the wall in their sight, and carry out thereby. In their sight shalt thou bear it upon thy shoulders, and carry it forth in the twilight. Thou shalt cover thy face, that thou seest not the ground. For I have set thee for a sign unto the house of Israel. And I did so as I was commanded, and brought forth my stuff by day, and stuff for captivity. And in the evening I digged through the wall of mine hand, and brought it forth in the twilight, and bare it upon my shoulders in their sight. And I don't know why I brought that one out. I think that one was out of context, guys. My bad. But let me get back into it. Let's go back to Job. Sometimes I'll be writing more than one class at once sometimes, and so I'll be in two different books, and sometimes I'll write the wrong precept. So I apologize for that one. I don't think it had really anything. But anyway, let me get back into it. Job, we're going back into Job. Job chapter 24, KJV. Verse 18. He is swift as the water, their portion is cursed in the earth. He beholdeth not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow waters, so doth the grave those which have sinned. So, sure enough, at the end of the winter, when the ground heats up, the snow's going to melt. Sure enough, If you're a sinner, you're going to be put to death. Sure enough. The womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered. The wickedness shall be broken as a tree. And let's get a precept on that. Proverbs chapter 14, KJV. We're going to go down to verse 32. The wickedness is driven away. The wicked is driven away in his wickedness, but the righteous have hope in his death. So he's going to be driven away by his own wickedness, and our hope is that when he dies, we can have peace again. It's just that simple. This book, because it's literally, I can understand now why the elites and the Christians and everybody else doesn't want us to read it, because they get paid to keep this stuff quiet. They're about to go down. Our time here is almost up. I got a couple more verses and then I'm going to call it. Job chapter 24, KJV. Jump down to verse 21. Does it every time. Job chapter 24, KJV. Every time, every single time, it gives me a different book. Down to 21. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not. He doth not good to the widow. He draweth also the mighty with his power, and riseth up. And no man is sure of his life. And that goes back into Deuteronomy that our life is always in the balance. That we've grown into noonday wishing it was night, and in the night we wish it was morning, and in the morning we wish it was noonday. So, or in the morning we wish it was night, and the night we wish it was morning. But we're always under a pressure, under that anxiety of what's going to happen next. So, no man is sure of life. So, I got cops right over there. I'm a so-called black man today. They can find any reason to come over here and start harassing me, but the Wadwa Barakatam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Makakadash, that I've got protection out here that they can't see. Nobody can, except for the righteous. They can see it in these words. Let's get it again. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not. He's evil to the women that can't have kids, and doth not good to the widow. The woman that is widowed, he's evil to her too. He draweth also mighty his power. He riseth up, and no man is sure of his life. Because we don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. Though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he resteth, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted for a little while. They're exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all, and are cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. I don't care what nation you're from. If you're wicked, you're going to be cut off. If you're an Israelite, you're 2/3. If you're the other nations, plan on being cut off completely. One more verse. And if it be not so now, who will make me a liar and make my speech nothing worth? So in other words, just because it didn't happen yet, who's going to make me into a liar when it does? Who's going to say that this means nothing when all this stuff comes to pass? Now our time here is almost up. Our time here is almost up. We have, in the eyes of the Most High, probably a few more seconds. But for us, who knows? Who knows? I could see through the signs of the seasons that everything has changed. You can't do anything without the oppressor wanting to know exactly what you're doing. They want to know how many steps you take a day. They want to know how much breath, how much oxygen you breathe, how many breaths you take, how many heartbeats you have. They want to know every single thing. And I got one more verse, and we're just gonna shut it down right here. That's right, Revelation chapter 22, KJV. I'm going to read my favorite verse in this whole Bible right now. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according to his work shall be. You're going to get repaid for your works. You are going to be repaid for your works. Let's jump up to verse 18. Revelation chapter 22 and 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of this prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, Yahweh shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. If any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Yahweh shall take away his part out of the book of life, and out of the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. He which testifieth these things saith, surely I come quickly. Amen. Even so, come, Lord Yahushai. The grace of our Lord Yahushai be with you all. Amen. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, I hope you're able to get something out of this message. Shalom.